Viewer discretion is advised. Your fave will be criticized.
That's Chris.
That's Shan.
And welcome to CCTV, the non-stop pop show.
And today we're doing a little recap of the concerts we've gone to in 2022. If you're wondering who we are, Shan and I have a huge range of experience in the music industry, from performing on stage to working at record labels. So we have a lot of insight into the crazy music industry. And if you want to join us on these discussions, you can at Patreon at patreon.com/cctvpops. Shout out to our crew members, Lisette, Lily, Deshawn, and Emily.
Yes.
And you can also follow us at CCTV Pops on all socials.
Yes. And also, feel free to like and subscribe to our channel. All right?
Subscribe, follow on whatever platform you're using right now.
You.
Yes. All right. So we thought we'd do a little more of a casual episode because we've both been quite busy, but we have gone to a lot of concerts this year. So we thought it'd be fun to discuss them because we've posted about them on our socials. We've gotten a lot of you guys coming back and asking how our experiences were. So we figured we'd just do an episode dedicated to it.
Yeah, that and they recognize you a lot.
Yes.
This is interesting.
Yes, I've been recognized a couple times now at shows. Once with Shan, once without. But yeah, shout out to our listeners. You've great music taste, clearly.
Obvious. You go to the right shows.
You go to the right shows.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we figured we would break it up, K-pop and then Western, just to kind of keep it more of an organized conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Kate, let's start K-pop.
Yeah.
What was the best K-pop show you went to, or one of, this year?
Oh, okay. So before the pandemic, I actually was going to like almost every single show. And one of the shows I did go to before was Twice. And then recently I went to Twice again.
Yeah.
And I think hands down, like male or female, I think they're probably one of the best performers, which is interesting because I think being a 9-member group, last time they didn't have Mina. And then after that, they didn't have Jungyeon because she was going through her mental health struggles. So to have all 9 of them up there with the staging and everything and the costumes, I think that was really impressive. I think overall, the people kind of underrate them because they're a little bit quote unquote older and they make bubblegum pop. But I think it's safe to say that they hold it down for the ladies when it comes to performing live, for sure. Even the ones that kind of like dim in comparison and such.
Yeah, I went to Twice as well. I think we went different nights though, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I was definitely impressed. I went in with kind of zero expectations. But the songs really do hit well live.
Yeah.
I did feel that there was a discrepancy in their energy levels, like between the members. Like some of them were going really full out for a lot of it, some of them not so much. So yeah, I've always felt that though, even from their like TV performances and stuff. So but yeah, I think I'm really happy they renewed. I have to be honest, when I went, I was kind of like, oh, is this like the last time they're gonna tour? But so yeah, I'm glad because like I said, I couldn't really tell they were having fun or not sometimes.
Yeah, no, you know, when I first went that first time, there was a subunit. I was like, you guys need the rest of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, this time I feel like the energy was more consistent than usual. I mean, Jungyeon seemed like she was a little bit out of it because I think it was the first tour coming back and being in such a public space. So, I mean, with some of the members suffering from anxiety, you can kind of see like the nervousness and they got comfortable and then they got like detached again. So it was interesting kind of seeing that taking place, which is, you know, something we discussed on our mental health episode for our CCTV. So it's just interesting seeing it like firsthand and you can be like, oh, is it something that's like off or you just don't want to be there? It's kind of, some members you're like, girl, you're tired. And then some other ones like, are you okay? So it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah. I think also in terms of the pacing of the set list and everything, there was a very clear division between like the cooler songs, quote unquote cooler songs versus like the really bright, cute songs. And you can also tell that certain members gravitate towards one or the other too when they like they like performing some more than the others. So you could definitely feel that.
Yeah.
I didn't love how they put all the units at the end of the show. Like I thought that was a little bizarre just in terms of the pacing and stuff. And then how the encore was just like an hour and a half long.
Oh yeah, that roulette
like,
thing.
what?
That's the one thing I don't like about K-pop concerts that I noticed happens quite a bit. They don't know how to do an encore and like actually like leave me wanting more, not like just you know, like you took like an energy.
It was like I need to go home.
Yeah, like an energy. It was like an energy drink at midnight. I was like, no, you should be in bed by now. You know. So I mean, overall, in the sense of like just watching the performances and like the set, the costuming,
staging was great.
Overall, I think. For them
show.
For them being from a huge company like that, they did come correct. I would say that.
Yeah.
You also did go see MONSTA X together, which is another one where for me, I actually bought 2 VIP tickets, lost them both over the course of the pandemic. You want to talk about crazy?
Well, you sold them, right?
Okay, here's the thing. The first one I sold because I was like, I want to go see them in Jersey. It's okay. They canceled the Jersey show and then relocated to Radio City. And I was like, I'm not dropping another $400 on like a meet and greet. Like, it's okay. So I just got like a really cheap one like 2 days before. I was going to go, but I was waiting for the prices to drop. I would say the venue choice was not great. They had a Radio City Music Hall for those who don't know, and it's where the Rockettes had their yearly musical.
Yeah.
I mean, extravaganza, if you will. But I feel like the venue wasn't great because they're putting their foot on the speakers and such. And I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about this hip hop.
So the thing is, I actually love Radio City, but yes, it's for musicians more so and like real like singers. Like I saw Christina there, and so that really fit that venue. I've seen Kelly Clarkson there, you know, so that makes sense to me. I agree. I think I saw some rapper there for work at one point, and I was like, this is bizarre because there's all these people standing on these chairs, and it's this historic, beautiful venue, and it was like, this is just odd environment. And the acoustics are made for live instrumentation.
Yes, that's mostly the
So
thing.
that's where, I agree. Yeah. But MONSTA X, again, I kind of found out I was going that day.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And again, I went in with no expectations. It was the first show of the tour, so no one had set lists, spoilers, or anything. And usually we read set list spoilers usually.
He does.
And so going into it, I was like, oh my gosh, are they going to do like all their English stuff? Like, are we getting the hits? Like, we just didn't know what we were getting into, so that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Ended up being a good set. I thought they balanced it well. I'm
Totally.
glad there wasn't too much of the English
Me
stuff
too.
because I'm not a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was another one where because they were also in the middle of contract negotiations, so and I was kind of in the press. I was like with all the press people, so everyone was like, "Ooh, let's listen out for like, are they going to say like see you soon? Are they going to say anything to allude to the future?" Which they did. So, but yeah, I thought it was a great show. I think they have great stage presence.
Oh my God, I almost cried when they came out. First of all, I think I was PMSing. I didn't tell you that person, but I think I was. But when they came out, I felt myself like just like get watery because I haven't seen them in years. And they're huge for me in my life.
I mean, they're your top, one of the top.
Yeah, when I was going through some tough times, like they're the group I kind of got back into when I got back into K-pop. And I was like, when they came out, I was like, you can't tell me anything. I was like listening to that song. And that was me and the other girls in that whole segment. But yeah, I think overall, I enjoy the the solo stuff.
Oh yeah,
they went through it quickly, right in the middle of the show. Next,
and they were all very different as well, so it kind of kept your attention.
Yeah. So it was like right through it, go through it, we're done.
And there are no dud members in this group, right? It's like they all kind of have their own thing going on. They all have their own type of stage breath, they all have their own charisma, so it worked. Yeah, I thought the pacing was good.
I will say I wish Shonu was there.
Yes,
he's delicious. I mean, aside from that, but he's adds to the dynamic. He adds to the dynamic completely, utterly. I think out of everyone, like he's definitely one of those people where I'm just like, I don't know if I could see him solo, but he holds it down as like a leader, as like a figurehead in that group where it's like he's in the front leading the charge essentially. So I wish he was there, but they held it down without him or One.
Yes. Yeah. And then the last kind of K-poppy show we went to together was the K Expo.
Yes, the SME.
K Brand Expo concert. So they brought BOA, CIX, and Winner to do like a little post-convention exhibition show on Pier 17.
Yes, that was nice.
Which I love Pier 17. It's an outdoor venue. It's great acoustics, amazingly, as well. And it was a beautiful day. So we really lucked out with that. True. And of course, it was free tickets. And thank the Lord for my Twitter stalking because people just kind of saw, it was kind of, the information was
sketchy.
Horrible.
Like it was not even.
And I just saw people talking about BOA, which I mean, I don't really care that much about the other two artists, to be very honest. But the second I saw BOA being spoken about as coming to New York, I immediately sent it to everyone and was like, keep an eye out for this. And the second I kept the alerts on, like BOA New York or whatever on Twitter. And I was like just searching and just refreshing it. And the second someone said there are tickets on Ticketmaster.
Yeah, he sent it to all of us.
I sent it to literally all my friends. Yeah. And we all got it?
We all got it. Yeah. Honestly, I think because it was set up like an amphitheater, which I appreciate. And not just like, we're going to put up speakers. That's what makes Pier 17 really good. But it sounded good too. From what I remember, the mixing guys were like real far back behind us, and there was cameras and everything. So they tried to make it seem like it was and I think they probably streamed it. I don't know, but I didn't look for it. Did we look? I'm not sure, but
No.
well, maybe it was just exclusive. You weren't there, honey. You missed it. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, most
Wow.
importantly, though, I was excited to see Boa. I haven't seen her since SM Town.
I've never
in
seen her, so
2011.
yeah.
And even then, she sang all the English stuff at that point, right? She did like Eat You Up and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And she didn't do any of the old stuff. So to see her come and do kind of like only one, and yeah, I was like, it was so good. Like just to
Yeah.
see her do that, her presence was great. She was singing along to her track, but her mic was quite low. We actually heard it. I thought she was lip syncing, and then
Me
when we
too.
went back and watched some of our footage, I was like, oh, she's
That's-
actually singing with it, which is
Mhm.
interesting. But her dancers are great. She's
Mhm.
very clean as a performer, and I
Yes.
think we were all very satisfied. She did go first, though,
Yeah,
which was
that was
interesting.
weird.
Yeah,
I don't like that she was in a skirt. I think my biggest complaint is with like dancers. Like she's a dancer.
yeah, it restricts your movement.
Yeah, she's in there dancing with her knees connected. I was like, dang, that sucked. But she went on the floor for a couple of the things.
Mhm.
So I think she's a good performer to say the least. I just don't understand why she was last. CIX definitely should have gone. CIX was another group that was interesting because if you don't know who they are how many members? They're
5, right?
5-member group that has great songs that are great singles, but a lot of the songs they did were B-sides.
Well,
like
so they literally did their whole latest mini album, which is the one with what's that song? 148? Oh, 458. And that song's great, but they
Yes.
literally were like, okay, now we're gonna do the second song from this mini album, and now we're
Yeah.
gonna do the 4th song from this mini album. And yeah, they didn't do You Wanted a Movie Star.
Oh my God, I kept saying movie star the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, so I actually saw CIX's headline show when they came, I think, to Webster Hall like earlier in the year. So
Mhm.
I was satisfied, and they were great performers, and so I was happy to see them again. But it was funny because literally almost everyone around us were definitely older K-pop fans, just
Yeah.
due to the other two in the lineup. And so it was like, it was
Yeah.
it was
I
like,
mean,
who are these guys? But I think they did a good job of
They did.
impressing people.
No, they did.
Yeah.
Which is why I wish they would have done like movie star or maybe more of their singles.
Cinema. Oh, we got cinema,
Maybe
right?
they get cinema. Yeah, but it's just they
I
were
like
like,
Wave.
this is our 3rd song from our 2nd minute. It was just very obscure things. Like it's like Christina going through her discography. Guys, you remember the 2nd song on my 2nd album? No, I'm still going to do it. That's what it felt like. Unless you were like a true fan there to see them.
Yeah.
a little
Like that's a weird choice to do for this type of show, especially when you're the outlier in the line. Yeah.
And speaking of outliers, I'm not gonna lie. Winter for me, they haven't been out here in the United States for so long that I didn't even consider them.
Yeah.
Like, cause no offense to them, but like they're kind of not hit or miss, but they're like older YG. They didn't really have a comeback except for that one song.
Mm.
And then after that, I was like, where'd you guys go? So them being here, I was like, oh my God, they're still together.
Yeah.
I had a moment where I was like, oh my God, they're still together. But a lot of inner circle were there, which is really impressive.
And they impressed me.
Yeah.
They're great performers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the very kind of YG, like older YG style, where it's
Yeah.
a little more loose. It's not as choreographed. It just
Mhm.
feels a little more natural. And so it allowed them to just kind of jump around and
Yeah,
stuff. And so the energy was good.
totally.
I think discography wise, they're not my favorite, but it worked in that setting. And I'm glad we stayed because I think we all were kind of like, okay, well, Boo went first. Like, should we just go? But we were already there, so it was like, why not? And yeah, I was impressed. I had a good time.
Yeah, I liked them. But again, I was just like,
Yeah.
y'all here? Like,
And then the weird like pacing with the MC and stuff that was definitely not
terrible.
rehearsed.
honey, let me tell you something. We could have done that better. I don't even know a lick of Korean, but I would have learned that night. He would have learned that night. Like, no offense, sir, but full on offense. You could have did better. Just saying.
Yes, we are available for hosting
Oh, yes.
opportunities if you like.
Hello, we are CCTV. Just wait.
That's Shan.
That's Chris. And basically, we do hosting. We hosted at A-Land for a dance competition. We host our own show. And we would have hosted the expo because we are true K-pop fans and we do our research. And we also do global pop. So if there's any 90s conventions that need actual people that know what they're talking about, feel free to call us.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Speaking of 90s and the West, let's hop into I lied. We're not.
It's like, wait, what?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't look at the script because he was writing it. I was like, yeah, I trust you. My bad. It's all right.
Yeah. So we did also both see 17.
Yeah.
Decent show. I'm gonna be honest. With all the ones that I've seen this year, it didn't really stand out to me. They're good performers, but I don't know what it was. It was just some
Standard
little bit of a
issue.
disconnect.
Yeah. Standard issue. The boys, I would say.
Oh yeah.
They were worth seeing. There's a lot of drama around my boys experience, but it was a great show. I mean, for the small stage that they had, it was NJ Pack, which is not terrible. It it gives town hall vibes
Yeah.
sometimes, but they did really well with what they had. They are great performers. Mics were definitely on, and when they weren't on, the dancing was on. And
Yeah.
again, Chris has this thing that he says, or like a conversational piece where it's like, if you're gonna go to a show and if I'm not a fan, make me a fan, or like make your fans stronger fans. Right. So I was definitely impressed. I became a lot more invested. I was like, ooh, which is why when their next singles came out, like,
Yeah.
Whisper, I was like, come on, dang it, come on, that show was so good,
Mhm.
So they're good live.
Yeah.
They're solid live,
Okay.
which is why I wish their discography, like the past 2 singles, would have been a little bit better. But honestly, I think they were a good show too, for what they had, for
Okay,
sure.
good. Yeah, I think when you say that phrase of like make me a bigger fan, I actually did not feel that with 17, nor did I feel that with NCT 127 either. I think especially with the latter,
Mhm.
they seemed a little tired, and the chemistry between the members was a little awkward actually.
Yeah, I've seen
Like
them
the
before.
interaction was a little awkward between
Mhm.
them all, and the pacing of that show was not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't feel well thought out.
Mm.
And they didn't do any special arrangements and stuff. Like, we'll do this in a future episode where we rant about live bands and concert arrangements and things like that, because that's something we're both very passionate about and have a lot of opinions on.
Yeah.
Um, and something that we feel is missing from K-pop in general. But yeah, I saw a lot other shows. Just to mention a few, I was very impressed by TXT and ENHYPEN. Both really strong shows. They did have interesting arrangements. They did have good kind of ideas with the set list and stuff. But what I did find interesting was that while TXT is the more senior and I think more popular, they played a smaller venue and their budget was like smaller than ENHYPEN, which was a little odd. Where ENHYPEN literally had to just sing their entire discography. I think there's like 2 songs they didn't do out of everything that's been released. But ENHYPEN was amazing. I have to say, I'm very supportive of them.
Yes, you are.
Having voted in Island and everything.
Yeah.
And so I was very happy to see them, and it's great. But yeah, that was just interesting just to see the two. Since they're from the same company. Yeah. And then Stray Kids and ATEEZ, I'm not huge fans of either of them, but those shows were amazing. They're amazing performers. I think ATEEZ is about to come around. We're filming this kind of in the middle of November, so they're about to come around again. I'm not seeing that one, but if you have money and time, you should go see that for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
All right, so now we will move on to the Western stuff.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah. What was one of your highlights?
Oh, I would say, I think it's interesting because a lot of the performers I saw are from the UK this year. Complete Brit pop act.
I mean, me too.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising. I'm not saying that the Americans, I won't, it's tough because I don't really like a lot of American artists that are touring right now. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Billie Eilish. I would have liked to go see her, but I just didn't go. The Weeknd, I'm not a huge fan of. And then some other artists, yeah. But I did see Bree Runway and Rina Sawayama, and we saw Jessie Ware together, and they're all from the UK. And honestly, I must say, like, one thing that K-pop shows lack that Western shows do not, love some of them, is a concept. Even with the VCRs, it's just a freaking perfume ad or like, a clothing ad or something. At least with like the interludes and a show, you'll get something that's cohesive with the theme, or if there's transitions with the band, it's not just like stop the track, talk. All right, next song. And if they do talk, the band's still going. Like there's a little bit more of like a flow. Like you're still kind of like in that almost like a lucid dream. You're still going through the dream realms. It's not just like wake up, go back to sleep, wake up, go back to sleep with K-pop K-pop shows.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the Western shows, the biggest difference, and I said this on my guest episode on K-pop Cast, where we talked about K-pop concerts and kind of just the standard there, is there's a lack of music direction.
Totally.
We interviewed Steve Anderson about the Steps concert, and you can listen to him. We talk about every single song, and there's thought put into every single song, why they're next to the song before and the one after. All the little elements, like that doesn't happen in K-pop. Like, especially, I'm sorry to harp on NCT, but that one clearly was them just using the instrumentals and and the TV tracks, the same vocal tracks that they were lip syncing to on Inkigayo, same track that they played on
totally
on the show. And it was just like, okay, it's just song after song after song, and then it's like random solos where most of them were unreleased.
It's a shuffle.
And then it was just, it was just the flow was just not there. And like the show is also K-pop shows are also so long, which I understand. Like, yes, you're getting your money's worth. You're getting like a 3-hour show, but like their stamina can't really hold that. So then they're kind of half-assing some of it in order to then be able to do like the big singles full out.
Mhm.
And so it's just the flow is just not good. Like, give me a great 90-minute show.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen people complain that Blackpink show is only 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but if the show is like cohesive and like they have a live band,
Yes.
and if it flows well, I mean, I've seen mixed reviews about it.
Yeah.
But like, that's the big difference.
I mean, when I went to go see them, my biggest complaint was just like, the girls on stage didn't translate as much as Twice back then. That was my only complaint, but he's right. Like,
in terms of like the music direction, though, it was
I understood. I was like, oh, doesn't make any sense. I mean, they kind of just went through like their album songs and there was like a theme, but they don't go there like, oh yeah, there's a theme. You'll get like Neo City with them. Don't do that. Don't name it anything. Just name it after the album, whatever. But just don't try to make it seem like it's something. And even with MONSTA X, their VCRs made sense. It was all about racing and getting somewhere. It was like the no limit tour. So everything was about reaching the peak. Like even they had cohesion. And I'm like, it's not hard to do. It just takes a little bit more effort.
Yeah.
But if you have the money, why not do it? Especially with SME, if an in-house producer who adds jazz breaks to aespa's music all the time. Why can't you just even if Twice has like band versions
some
of songs.
interesting arrangements at least. Yeah.
So with Western artists, we get that. So with Bree Runway, she's barely not really new, but if you don't know who she is a Brit pop artist. She works in the hyper pop realm. She's genre bends. We did talk about her in our Black Women in Pop episode as well. So she's awesome. I mean, she kind of sounds like a pop version of Missy, like Missy back in the 90s, but also just has her own thing. Her set is just, she's very couture with her outfits. I think she had 2, 3 outfits, nothing crazy. Wore sunglasses, took them off, had dancers, had a fan. That stage was so small. She worked that stage like nobody's business. And it's so impressive to see someone, basically how this desk is. She was walking back and forth, working it. She came out, she laned, she went back. It was just interesting. She had a guest person. It was really nice. And the dancers were great. Oh my goodness, just 2 dancers. 2 dancers, not a 12-member group or a 9-member group. Just 2 dancers. It was really solid. Let's see. Do I have any complaints about it? Not really. Even when she talked, she knew. She was very aware of her timing. So she finished on time. Everything was tight. The audience was another factor. K-pop fans, you'll get barking, you'll get the screaming, you get the whoop-whoops, you get the yelling while they're talking.
Yeah.
With these, sometimes you get hit or miss with the audience. But this audience with Bree, they were so awesome. They were really not chill, but they were into it. Word for word, bar for bar, knowing every single bit of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's so interesting because the audience does also add to the concert experience. So I think overall, I was like, the audience was just, they were young, mostly, but they were like, oh my God.
We should I think we'll have more to talk about the audience with these Western artists. But I think with K-pop artists, it's interesting because, again, I had mentioned this in the K-pop cast episode. There's no standard because it's almost just a privilege that these fans are in the same room and get to see these idols in person. Yeah. So they don't even care how good the performance is. They could easily they could just stand there and sing these songs and they would think they're getting their money's worth.
Yeah.
And so it's the standard of performance is lower in K-pop because it doesn't need to be higher because these fans are just happy to see them in person, in real life.
Yeah. It's
as opposed to, I think with Western audiences, you got to impress them or they get bored and start talking.
Or start playing Subway Surfers. Have you seen those videos?
No.
There's been shows at Phoebe Bridgers' show and some other person's show. People are sitting there scrolling and playing Subway Surfers. It's disrespectful and become a bit of a meme. But I mean, Coi Leray, even at Rolling Loud or Lollapalooza, I forgot what performance, she was singing one of her songs. Uncle Best Friend. Ding, ding, ding. People know that song with the other ones. People were sitting down in the crowd. It was getting disrespectful. You won't see that at a K-pop show because everyone's there to be there. Right? Yeah. But at a Western one, you better be
And a lot of the Western shows as well, people cannot exist without having at least 10 drinks.
Which blows my mind. Oh my God.
They cannot enjoy themselves unless they have multiple drinks. So that's definitely a K-pop. They probably don't make anything from bar sales.
Oh my God. Oh my God. No, you're right. Right. I mean, with the adults, only the adults.
Yeah.
But I think Bree Runway actually may have done some work on the artist that you saw for the Chromatica, deluxe version. I think she may have had a pre-drip. Yeah, but you saw.
Yeah, I saw Chromatica Ball finally.
Lucky.
Had tickets for 2020. And then it finally was, we finally happened. That was a brilliant show. I'm not big on stadium shows because unless you're super close, it's you might as well just watch it on TV because you're watching the screen the whole time anyway. But in this case, my friends and I, we did splurge on very good seats. And so we could see the whole show. And honestly, Gaga, because the last time we saw her in the stadium, that show was really made for arenas, and she was only doing stadiums in select cities, so you could tell that the stadium was just like tiny, and she missed parts of it because it was outside. But in this case, it was made and built for stadiums, and so it felt really grand. She did almost the entire Chromatica album, and this one had a legitimate story that ran through it. That was very obvious, and I think that visually it starts kind of black and white, and then more and more color gets added, and then finally for like Rain on Me, it's like a rainbow, you know. So it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant show. She's definitely one of the best performers in pop.
Yeah, she's an ATEEZ,
even though
for
she's
sure.
already one of an older artist, honestly.
But you know what? I think what gives her longevity is the fact that she is a musician and that she is like an artist. Like she's not just like, hit me up on the TV because I'm cute. It's like, I have talent. I have a brain. Like, I mean, even her doing Las Vegas, there was a bunch of standards. Like, she knows how to keep working rooms if she doesn't. Art pop was like, unfortunately, some weird like pop culture decline for her, because a lot of people were like, okay, whatever. After for whatever reason, art pop just didn't do it for people. You know what she did? Hello, Mr. Bennett. She moved on. It was like, oh my God, my life's over. She did Stars Born. Like, she just kept going. So now when she has like music like this, she's had time to kind of like make more music, keep making better music. It just shows. She has longevity because she wasn't exhausting herself in this one avenue. You know what I'm saying? Like with like with Britney, for example, she doesn't have any other avenue except singing and dancing. So now it's just like she's still trying to find herself, and she doesn't want to come right back into it. You know? So I think with Gaga, I think she's like a true like artist.
She is.
She's an artist.
I think the tour was definitely overshadowed a bit by the drama with the choreographer, all the dancers saying they didn't want to work with him. And I will admit, I've never been a huge fan of Gaga choreography. Like, I get that her whole shtick is that it's like always kind of like awkward and weird, and artistic. But it's also like, I mean, we're both dancers, so it's like we can tell when something doesn't feel right in the body, and so when like you're jerking and like is there something weird with the weight shift, or it just doesn't look natural and it looks stiff, and so that just as a dancer that. It was a little annoying to watch at certain times with some of the choreography. But as a show, it was very well put together. And those songs are, you know, that album is a party album. So it works really well in that setting. Her band was great.
Nice.
We get the piano moment as well. So, but talking about the audience, the man in front of us, half the show, he was filming himself.
Oh, yeah, right. You told me.
And crying, like filming himself crying, singing to Lady Gaga. And it was like, my thought was, when would you ever watch this? You know what I mean? Like, I complain when people film an entire show on their phone anyway, especially with K-pop, because they always release those at least. Like with the Western ones, we're getting less and less of like the DVD releases and stuff. So I get it a little more where people are like, no, like we want to capture it. Like Spice Girls, for example, thank God people filmed that whole show. But like, why would you film yourself crying to Lady Gaga? Like, you don't look great.
That's it for the gram.
But if you were like, I was at a Lady Gaga show, like I would want to see a story of Lady Gaga. I wouldn't want to see a story of you crying, singing along to Lady Gaga. Right?
Man, it's true.
It's strange.
It's strange. It's strange. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So we both have tickets to Rina Sawayama. Like I said, we're filming this like mid-November. But so I'm going to a different show from you.
Yeah.
So yours kind of was supposed to already have happened. But what happened?
You couldn't tell by his So basically, Rina came out in a robe. A mutual friend of ours like, oh my gosh, she's coming out. And I'm like, yo, she's in a robe. It's not, that don't look right. I kept saying it too. I'm like, she's in a robe. It's not right. Like what I said, I thought to myself, what part of the show requires her to wear a robe? She comes out and she goes, I'm so sorry, but I have to cancel. I had a steroid injection in my butt. I even brought Charlie XCX out. Everybody like, oh no. But she had to cancel the show essentially. I mean, I think about how long she's been touring and how she was working on the album in between the touring. And she was working on John Wick and all this other stuff. I feel like she never really gave herself a break. And it's also a testament to how much live singing she does. And I think overall, this album is probably one of the higher albums for her.
This album is a difficult one to sing.
Yeah, Rina, EP, not that high. Sawayama, maybe Who's Gonna Save You Now kind of goes up there. But this whole album, she's like singing in her blend like the whole time. So I think to do a show like this, just day in and day out, and the night before she had did her show, so she was pushing it then. Yeah, she had to cancel, but she did reschedule. Definitely gonna go to
Yeah,
that
she
one.
did cancel a couple of shows too.
Yeah,
She had, yeah.
got the merch.
Yeah, so we're both
Uh,
still hopefully going. Hopefully her voice holds out.
I think she needs to look at actual break because even after I think January, she's going on tour again.
Yeah, she's announced pretty much the whole world I saw. Yeah.
They are.
But I'm really excited to see her for sure.
Yeah, she's a good show. I mean, from the times I've seen, the 2 times I've seen her, she's good and she's gotten better each time. The first time she spoke, the first tour, the Ordinary Superstar tour, she did speak quite a bit. The dancers were tight as well too. It's one of those things where it's like you look at an artist like that who is indie, indie major, if you will,
Hmm.
and they're so tight and they're so put together, and they'll only have like the track and the drummer or like a guitarist, and it's so good.
Mm.
2 solid dancers, like they know what they want to do and they do it. The first one was more about being internet and like the digital age. The second one was the Sawayama EP. So it was just more of her just performing and actually just giving it the old 2000s pop. This one is more about her mental health. This Hold the Girl. So I wanted to know what it was like. It's interesting watching the staging because now she has a set and it's like a big round circle LED thing. I want to see what happens for sure.
Yeah.
But she's a solid performer. She sings live all the time.
Mm.
She doesn't usually bring out like guests either. So the fact that she brought Charlie, I hope she brings Charlie again.
Yeah.
They have that song together.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned. I think by the time this episode is out, this date will hopefully have already happened. So definitely check us out on socials at CCTV Pops. We do post when we go to concerts and we show our footage and stuff. So definitely keep an eye out. Hopefully that show happens or has happened. Yeah.
Yes.
But one Western show we did go to together was Jessie Ware, who I love. And I think you, with the latest album, is when you were like, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that we had a lot of fun at that show. Her show is so tight to 2 musicians, one drummer and one that kind of like keyboard and guitar, right? And then 2 dancers, 2 background singers, and a disco ball. That's literally all it was. And it was such a good show. The songs all synced together. The dance, every single song had different staging to it. Sometimes we get one dancer, sometimes you get both dancers, sometimes you get the 4 of them with the background singers. You have like it was so well done.
Yes.
And I think that album is already so cohesive that it made it feel cohesive just due to the music. But she did such an amazing job. And her voice was stunning in real life.
Her technique is disgustingly good.
Yeah.
Her technique is so good. Like she'll do, like she was doing something really silly with the whip at one point. She's in a swinging it.
Yeah.
So it's still going off. And I'm like, oh, you're so good. Stop. But yeah, I mean, after listening to like the first album, Devotion and Tough Love, recently after going to the show, it's interesting listening to, like What's Your Pleasure live because she's like Champagne Kisses from like, and then, Wildest Moment. Yeah. It fits really well. So she's very consistent in her sound. So everything can still go really well together. And even if it doesn't, they decided to do like, I think some covers for the background singers. They had like their highlight moment. They sounded really good and the songs made sense. And I think it was really interesting because she was someone who had a very simple set. And she had like this reflective kind of curtain behind her. So when the lights change, the moods change on that whole thing. Nothing crazy. Maybe a little like feather boa kind of moment. Take it off. Oh my God, it's a new costume.
Yeah.
It was nothing difficult, but she was still able to like really sell it. And I think that's one of those things that, again, going back to K-pop, is just sorely lacking. And it's like, you don't really need all that crazy. You don't need the toaster popping up and you don't need the stage pop thing. You don't need the LED. You just need to actually have talent. And you can have a shorter show if you allow them to either sing live or just go as hard as they need to for a shorter amount of time. Stop wasting time with the conversations. Stop wasting time with the VCRs. That's for every single member. Like it doesn't have to be that way.
Well, here's the thing. I like pop production. So I get the need for the VCRs and stuff. But what I don't like is when the VCR has nothing to do with what the next section is. When it's like, okay, like here we are on a beach looking beautiful. And then it's like, okay, now we're going to go into a dungeon for the next song. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what was the point of like, what? That makes no sense. And then as impressive as these highly, extremely choreographed, tight routines are, when you watch 20 of them in a row, it gets kind of old,
Yeah,
you know?
you get
Like, it's
fatigued
not
almost.
like we've complained about this a lot on our show where the K-pop choreo can be it's difficult for no reason
Oh my
sometimes.
God, yeah.
And so Jessie's was such a great example of a show where it can be very simple. Like you can have a dancer just freestyling around you when you stand with a microphone stand, but then the next song has way more people on stage. And then
Yes.
the next song after that is only Jessie. So it's like it keeps it interesting and
Yeah.
it keeps a roller coaster going.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to in K-pop where it's just like routine after routine after routine after routine. And
It's a
like, yes, it's
lot.
all impressive, but then it gets monotone
Yeah.
when it's all just the same.
Yes.
Like that.
Oh, can I say something
Yeah.
too? Before you guys come at us for being like, oh, God, K-pop, this. Those are the same fans that are like, oh my God, you need to rest. They can't rest as they're doing high energy song after high energy song after high energy song without any kind of like semblance of a cohesive show.
Yeah.
So we're not saying this to be like, oh my God, K-pop is less than. We're saying the reason they're so tired, the reason they're so exhausted is that they're sort of pushing it to the limit and not
And it's not
really,
necessary.
and it's
Yeah.
completely unnecessary. So yes, they deserve rest, but the only way to get it is if we raise the standard. Ding.
Yes. Yes. All right. So at Jessie's show, also just to close that part of it out, audience
Oh my God.
was a mess. We had some fun just observing what was around us, but there was a lot of drinking, a lot of pushing.
A lot of stroking.
We saw some things that people were looking at on their phones that we didn't want to see. We saw some PDA we didn't want to
God.
see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah, I think contrary to my energetic personality, I don't like to be touched.
Well, no one likes to be touched like that, like by strangers like that.
No, you're right, but I don't like large crowds like that. Like if I go to a party or like a concert, if I don't really know the artist, I'm usually in the back, just kind of like, oh, let me hear it and listen to it. I regret getting there in the back at that point, but it's okay. I mean, she sold it.
It was a good show, yeah.
But I was disconnecting every time someone bumps into me. I was like,
I'm starting to feel a little too old for GA, I think.
funny.
It's like I've gotten so used to the seats and stuff, and it's like
just
I'm the same. I'm just
Yeah.
like also at Michelle Branch, also, I was at the front and the girl behind me, first off, she kept using my shoulder as her elbow rest as she filmed the whole show. So I had to keep knocking it off. And then in between every song, she just kept being like, oh my God, I bet the next song is all you wanted. Like, oh my gosh, I'm sure the next song is everywhere. And it was like, why are you predicting the set list when it's first off, the set list is available online. Go look at it. Also, like, no one cares. Like, your friends did not care. So who are you talking to?
She's a know-it-all.
It was just like, it was just unnecessary. Like, what is wrong with people? Anyway. Also, and then she obviously did it, and she kept it being annoyed because, like, I left some space in front of me because I was literally, there was one person in front of me and then the gate.
Yes.
And I don't want to be squished up. And she kept being like, you can move up. Or not, she wasn't actually that. She was talking to her friend saying he could move up, like passively, right? Knowing I could hear it. And I was like, I was like, what's the point? Like, and then she didn't know any of the newer songs. So it was like, you're not even a big fan. Like, why are you here? Why are you in the front? You know what I mean?
That kills it with K-pop fans too. Some people don't even know the group, don't even like the group, just buy it just to go see some Korean pop artists.
Right.
That kills me because I'm like, that could have been my seat. You don't even know who this is. I don't know who this is.
Well, no, I'm okay with that.
Not the front seat. No, like meet and greet. So people just buy it just to buy it. And I'm like, you don't even know
I'm okay with people buying concert tickets to shows for artists that they don't know that
That's
well.
fine too, but like, don't be like,
if you're seeing an artist that you do like, especially with these legacy artists, do a little bit of research. Like clearly the tour is called the latest album. Like you can give it one stream, you know?
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, so I just came back from the UK. I had my own little tour.
Yes.
And saw quite a few shows, but I mainly went to see the Sugababes, who, as you know, I love. They are our most highly streamed episode, actually. It's our Sugababes 101. So go check that out if you haven't.
Sugababes.
Yes.
I still try to pick out the fandom name.
The Salt.
Saltines?
I was thinking the opposite. Anyway, it was so good. So I saw them twice. Obviously, if I'm going to go all that way, I might as well. And I had Siobhan heard that I was going from New York, and she asked me to join the meet and greet So thank you so much, Siobhan. I got to meet Sugababes.
Get your album.
I did get the album signed. And yeah, I got to talk to them. I was surprised because I've never done a concert meet and greet. I don't usually like to pay to meet people.
Oh, yeah.
But I always thought, because I've only met people at event, like I met Mel C earlier at her book event. I met Kylie at her wine event, and it's usually very quick. You have someone like yelling at you to just like get your stuff signed and then take your picture and then go, right?
Yeah.
And you always hear about that kind of like quick shuffle line where you're just like, "Hi, I love you," like,
It's like,
picture.
oh, thank you.
Yeah. But with Sugababes, they spent like a good 5 minutes with every single person. Well, first, there are only 10 people in the meet and greet. So the way they already
More
kind
intimate.
of made it quite small and allowed for that time. But yeah, I got to talk to them for a really long time before the photographer was like, "Okay, photo." And I was like, wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Like, to actually have a real conversation. I talked to every single member individually and them as a group and told them about, they were very surprised that anyone from Hong Kong knew who they were. But yeah, they were really, really sweet. And thank you to all the fans who were around me, because I was there by myself. And so there were people from Italy, there were people from Australia that were all traveling in also. So we all kind of banded together and all stood at the front together. Got a lot of attention from them during the show as well.
Nice.
Both Siobhan and Mutya both
Yeah.
commented and messaged me as well afterwards. So yeah, really, really good show vocally.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen the clips.
Yeah, totally.
Vocally,
Yeah, they're
it
solid.
was insane. Like, I had goosebumps during some of it. Those harmonies were just insane. And that was a really well put together show. Like, their music director switched up all their songs.
Nice.
Everything was very, very cohesive. Made everything just a lot more energetic, a little more modern, some of the songs. And yeah, that flowed really, really well. I will say the middle was very, they did a lot of like unreleased stuff and things kind of in a row. So it was great for all of us at the front because we know all the words to the leaked songs. But from what I've heard, like just from other fans that have gone, in the back that's where you started getting some of the talking and the going to the bar. And yeah, that middle section maybe with more for the super fans a little bit. So yeah, I think that's kind of the only thing. But for the super fans, they were all at the front. It was great.
That's how it usually goes. Keep the stragglers in the back.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite interactions. And Mutya sang the whole of her round verse to me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Keisha, there's this back and forth ad lib that she and Mutya do in Overload. And I was singing the Mutya part. And so Keisha was pointing at me and she like sang her ad lib to me. It was great. That was a great moment. Yeah. But it was interesting because I saw them in London as well. And there were a lot of important people in London. I got to meet a lot of cool people actually there. Like industry folk. And they were even calling them out. They're like, "Oh, like this songwriter of this song's here tonight," and stuff like that. But you could tell they were much more nervous for the London show. So I'm really glad that I got to see them in the smaller venue. Yeah. It was a different energy for sure.
Yeah, I think one thing about I've known with the UK artists, if you give them a chance, like if you meet them, they're actually quite nice. Like I met Rina the 2 times that she's come, and they make time for you. They really, if they can, they will.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was like in the middle of like recovering from Vidco when she came out with the mask and stuff. And so it's nice when you get to talk to them. Like, I love your music, and they, and they're like, I don't remember you, but I'll try to remember you next time. Things like. But you got that ultimate experience where they remembered him and invited him. So that's nice.
Yes.
But you also went to, was it 90s Baby?
I did. So there was this festival going on. They did a little tour around the UK, but they ended it in Manchester, and they invited a ton of late 90s, early 2000s artists. It was called 90s Babies. It was for people born like in the 90s. And it was a great show because I got to check off a lot of these artists that I've been fans of and ones that we plan on doing one-on-ones for sure, like Atomic Kitten and Liberty X and Five and Bewitched and all these icons. S Club, well, 2 of S Club. But it was definitely an interesting show. I think first off, I'd never been to Northern England before.
Right.
And I'd been told of the differences between, just culturally, like between Northern England and Southern England. So that definitely felt from the start. Also, it was a 7-hour concert in an arena.
That's crazy.
And people were drinking a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so and they call that getting sloshed, by the way. People were getting sloshed. People were just dropping like flies. Like after like 2 hours, it was just, I got closer and closer to the stage. We're working on a reel. So you'll see as the show goes on, I get slightly closer and closer.
That's hilarious.
But hold on, let me pull up this list because I don't want
It
to
was
forget some of these
interesting.
crazy artists that were there.
Yeah, from what he was telling me, it was. I mean, for me, I feel like a 7-hour-long concert should have been a convention spread over several days, but that would have been a little bit much, I think.
Yeah.
But 7 hours for just, all right, guys, and apparently there was no sound check, right? Did you?
Yeah. So, okay. So as an overall, clearly this show, because they were doing it in theaters, like in other places, right? But of course, this was the final, so they did it in arena. So clearly the stage was like very basic. And they had this whole kind of staircase thing set up, but no one used it. And the sound was awful. Like people's in-ears didn't match the mics they were given. Like I think the Honey, the two of them, they had to like switch mics right before they started. Liberty X Girls, they had to like run to the sound guy the second Just a Little finished because clearly they couldn't hear themselves, and like the levels were just off. Like even in that, like with Liberty X, Michelle, who sings kind of, she usually does kind of the BGs, and she had the loudest mic. So then the balance and the chorus and stuff was just off, and it was just a little odd. But you know, it's interesting going to these kind of legacy shows because I think some artists really like worked on their craft, and they're even better than they were 20 years ago. Then you have the artists that are like, we don't have anything to prove. This is our side gig. Like, we're just doing it for fun. We're coming out in a t-shirt and jeans, and we're doing what we do, you know? But a lot of it, because this music is so nostalgic, it's like the music is good enough to just carry that anyway.
Right.
But yeah, I'm going to do some shout outs. So let's talk about S Club first.
Nice.
So
Oy.
S Club was S Club Allstars because it was only Tina and Bradley from S Club, and then it was Stacy from S Club Juniors, who has a great voice. But she's not, but you know, Joe.
She's not Joe.
Joe
Yeah.
sings everything.
Yeah.
And so that was a little weird.
It was. How did it?
It was a little weird and a little sad. Tina is not the best singer. Stacey's a great singer.
Right.
So she did kind of carry it, but I think that like the songs are nostalgic, but when you see someone singing it that's like not in the group, it's a little odd. Then they did do a little S Club Juniors moment. I was the only one who knew One Step Closer. One Step Closer to Heaven. Yeah, everyone around me, that was when they went to the bar. And they would come back with like 8 drinks each, just like.
I have no comment for that. That's a lot.
Yeah. So that was a little sad to watch. But the music was fun.
I mean, if you grew up in America and you were watching ABC Family before you went to school, it was that Mary Kate and Ashley show, and then it was also S Club 7 in the.
They have some great songs. They did not sing S Club Party because, you know, most of them weren't there. Only Tina was there to do her thing. Or what's Tina doing her dance?
Yes.
What does Bradley do?
Oh, no. I know Joe looking for romance.
Yeah, there was no Joe looking for romance.
There's no roll call.
There was no Rachel. What was Rachel's? Anyway, Rachel's about to come out and perform again, though. So I'm very curious if she's going to come out because her solo stuff was pretty good. Anyway. Okay, so the 411, I will give a shout out to the 411 because they really only had kind of the one big single that kind of everyone knew, and they kind of had to fill the 15, 20 minutes that they had. Right. And so they had to do a couple album tracks and stuff, but they were ones where you could tell they kind of worked on their craft a little bit, and it felt kind of more elevated and rehearsed properly. Good. 911. So 911, I'll give it to you guys because they're in their 50s now, and their choreography, they're breakdancers. That's like why they were, you know, put in a group. Like that was like their thing. And they're still doing it. They're still going on the floor. They're still doing their tricks. But you know, shout out to the lead singer. I'm forgetting your name right now, but you know, you twisted your knee or something, popped your knee right at the end during Body Shaken. And you were lumping around for the whole
I feel so
last
bad.
song. But still sounding great. So
you know, the pain.
Yeah.
Hopefully he wasn't in too much pain. I always think about like getting her on stage is like,
the
show must go on, or does it? I mean, respect to you, sir.
Yeah. So another one, Damage. So I don't know anything about Damage other than that Mr. Babyface is in it, Jade. And he sounded great, but I didn't know any of their music, but they were killing it. They actually used the staircase thing. They were very unhappy with the sound. They were like yelling at the sound guy. Oops. He like started playing the wrong track, and they were like, no.
That's so embarrassing. Are you not embarrassed? Are you not embarrassed? You're not embarrassed? He's not embarrassed. You've heard it.
That's not how they say embarrassed.
No, there's an African English girl. Are you not embarrassed? Yeah, she's great. Shout out to her. She's awesome. But yeah, no, are you not embarrassed? Like, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. But they were great.
Good.
They did what they could.
Good. But the sound guy, shame.
Bewitched for the best of the night.
I said,
Very, very polished.
hey, boy.
Loved the weatherman umbrellas that lit up. They
Yeah.
used the stage as well. They looked amazing, the double denim. They had like a cool mashup with the Ed Sheeran song for C'est La Vie. Like
Mhm.
the proper arrangements, like real
Nice.
staging. It felt like I was watching a real pop stars, and they
Yeah.
had like a real intro and like screens.
Oh,
And
nice.
that was what was weird. It's like some of these artists were
Yeah.
clearly like they made a set specific for the show, and some really were
Right.
like, "Oh, play the track.
Play the
Like, I'm just
track,
going out
yeah.
there."
Got the MP3, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, right, that's what
Yeah.
Ooh,
Atomic Kitten. I love Atomic Kitten. So having an entire arena sing "Whole Again" was
Yeah.
pretty amazing because that's definitely no one
Atomic
here knows who they are.
Ooh.
And then 5. So I left after 5 because
Baby.
Aqua canceled it. I was tired.
Yeah.
5 was great. They did not sing "Lights Go Out,"
Which is
fortunately.
lame. I mean,
but that's actually so it's interesting. I was looking it up because I was curious. I was like, oh, that actually like was such a huge hit in the US, but it's not one of their biggest hits in the
it's not.
UK.
It's the difference.
That's very interesting. But they were great. Their music is perfect for the live arena.
Mhm.
Like I don't love their cover of "We Will Rock You," but they killed it. Like in that stage.
The stage, right?
So have you heard their cover of "We Will Rock You"?
No.
With Queen. Like,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh.
It's just boy bandified.
Oh.
We should do a 101 about 5, actually. They have an interesting career.
I would like to.
Yeah.
You will succumb to me. I'm like, succumb. I was like, come on. That's the biggest chord in a chorus I've ever heard in my life.
But yeah, so I ended up being there for like 5 hours.
Which is not bad.
While
like-
everyone around me was getting in arguments and pushing each other. It was also like Halloween weekend, so there were some weird costumes going around. There was like this woman with these huge devil horns, and the man next to me was like not having it and started yanking at her. Yeah.
Stop, really?
Yeah.
Oh, see now, I just don't like. I don't. Don't do that. Don't touch.
Yeah.
Don't touch.
But she was being not great either. Like she was saying some horrible things right before that. Again, they were all drunk. Like these people were all drunk. Like we're talking chugging beers. And then they would go to the bar and then it like literally it was like they'd miss like 2 acts
Oh shoot.
waiting in line for these drinks,
Oh,
you
it's not
know?
like that.
It was just bizarre.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it was a very interesting experience. I don't think I ever need to go to that again. But I'm glad I got to check off this artist. But yeah, you went to a festival too this year.
Yeah,
What
well,
did
there
you
was-
go see?
There was no drinking at this festival, thankfully. Oh God, it was Global Citizen, and I had gone to Global Citizen in 2018. And unfortunately, there was a stampede because Janet Jackson was. Well, they went to stampede because of Janet, but there was an incident that no one seems to know about. And so I'm like, "Oh, did you hear about it?" And they're like, "What?"
What actually happened? Like something fell over or something and made a big noise or something?
No, you know,
Oh.
you have a bottle and the cap is on it. Someone stepped on it, I suppose, maybe twisted it.
Oh, and it went.
popped. So yeah, I heard something fall, and I guess it was a gate that fell. I'm like, they're pushing the gates down.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I won't go into a whole spiel. If you'd like to know what happened during that, feel free to ask. I'm not talking about it right now. We were talking about some good stuff. But yeah, that was a weird thing. So when I went back to Global Citizen, I was very leery about staying toward the edges because that's where I was last time when something went wrong. But since they've done it, they've had like these little ports, these inflatable ports that inform you where the exits are. So which I appreciate because yeah, no, it was scary that first time. But yeah, so Global Citizen was interesting because it is a charity event, but you're supposed to kind of like petition and tweet and make phone calls in order to earn the points in order to get the ticket, which isn't terrible. If you want to pay for the VIP section, you totally can. In the past, it was like all you need was like 32,000 points like a year to get that, right? Either way, there was Mickey Guyton, who was a country artist, Charlie Puth, the Jonas Brothers, Mariah Carey was there. Rosalia was there, which is I didn't get a chance to go to her tour. I freaking wish I would have gone to the Motomami tour, but I didn't. But she was there, and Metallica. I've never seen Metallica, and I'm
Wow.
actually a Metallica
Legend.
fan. Yeah. So that show was good. I am a little disappointed that the Jonas Brothers had gone first. It wasn't an African artist, so I do not remember her name. She was great. But the Jonas Brothers had gone first. Solid performance. If you've never seen them
Yeah.
live, get past the whole purity ring Disney Channel boy thing. They're actually super
Does anyone
talented.
actually care about that anymore?
People are weird about the Jonas Brothers. They're kind of like the lame ones, like especially like like even Jay-Z made fun of them in one of his songs.
But that was 20 years ago, though.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. Like certain artists aren't like Madonna, for example. Some people look at her like, oh yeah, she's a legend, but like, please get off the stage because it's just why you're there. Now I'm not saying that. I'm not saying, but yeah, with the Jonas Brothers, like some people are just like kind of like, I guess, like the song, you like the song. They sung "Burning Up," they sung their other stuff, they sung their solo stuff as well, which was nice. So DNC got some Nick. I hate his song. Anywho, then Charlie went after the African art, if I'm not mistaken. Can I tell you, he sang one song, Light Switch.
I like Light Switch.
And then
That was it.
basically he sang New York State of Mind and then kind of, oh, been a long day, thought you my friend. See you again. See you again. That was it. And I'm like, not for nothing. You should have gone first. That was it. He had like 3 songs. Mickey Guyton was cool. She came a little bit later from Metallica set. They closed it, which is interesting because a lot of the fans that were there were Metallica fans. Honestly, Global Citizen is a place if you want to have a bunch of random fans put in the same room.
Yeah.
Boy.
Quite a diverse lineup.
Boy. At least for the time that I went, they had more like pop, R&B, hip hop acts. They had Weeknd, Janet, Cardi. What's her name? What's that girl's name? Oh, Shawn Mendes. Oh, is that a girl? Sorry. I meant that in no way, shape, or form. Sorry. Shawn Mendes and some other girl that was there too. Janelle Monáe. Thank God. I could not figure it out. But yes, they had those people. So you could kind of just like, okay, it makes sense. This one had Mariah up there talking about I know you're not here to see me. I know you're here to see. Listen, Metallica fans, I'll be gone soon. Lambs are honey. She's funny. You would have talk about awkward, but so aware of it. I like her very much. Yeah. She sounded good too. She did have an awkward moment where she was talking about 9/11 and Hero. That was not smooth. But she's like, it was number 1, during 9/11. And not because of, okay, So I was like, stop talking. But she sounded really good. Because my thing with her is that her vocals, unfortunately, are starting to deteriorate. But she held it down, maybe lowered the key just a little bit, which I appreciate. But she always has like pretty good pitch where she can figure out what note to hit to kind of like compensate for it.
Yeah.
She did sing a little bit of like a classic song, and then she did Hero, and then she did what song was it? I wanted her to do a medley. I wanted her to do like Heartbreaker and stuff like that, but she didn't. But she was good. She was fun. And then Metallica came out and hang on, wait, Rosalia. She cracks me up. All her stuff is in Spanish because she's from Spain. Totally fine. But she has a song called Hentai. Global Citizen is about being like, it's all pure and innocent. Like there's only water to drink. Everything's vegan. Like there's no meat. It's all just pure and cleansed. Hentai is a song about having sex. And she even says like, I'm better than all these like, putas. Like I'm better than all these biatches. And I'm like sitting here like, y'all have this girl sitting there on the piano talking about sex at the thing. She's the only person that had like an inappropriate song, so I was cracking
a lot
up.
of kids there?
Hit or miss because the Metallica fans who are older now brought their kids, right? So there was like younger people, some Rosalia fans who did go to the Motomami tour. So it was nice seeing her. She's talented. And then Metallica was good. They didn't do it with Mickey. And not to say for some old dudes they really kill it, but like no, for like guys who are a little bit older and have been singing rock and for playing rock for all these years, they were so tight in the mix. Considering how many acts went through that whole thing, super seamless. Oh yeah, Maneskin performed as well. Y'all, I don't like begging. I will never like it. I don't like it. I just don't like it. Hate it. Hate it. Everything else though. Honey, they won me over. That's a good looking group, but also very talented looking band. They won me over.
Talented looking band.
Oh my bad. See? They're hot. All except one. I won't say which one, but they're all hot. But they're very talented as well. Their bassist, the girl, she is sick. She's absolutely freaking sick. And their lead vocalist, I did not know the man's name, but he's worth every bit of hype. He's very talented. I just don't like begging. I don't like the way he sounds. I'm begging, but everything else is really cool. But yeah, having them right before Metallica kept the energy like all the way up. Like the crowd was definitely into it. And like I said, the mix was so good. Having all those artists of different genres, different sounds, and everything was tight. Had switching the guitar, switching the drums, everything switching, the equipment switching, the setup, the gear is different, and it all sounded so good. They had screens on either side, so it was pretty good sound wise, visually speaking. It was really good, which is interesting with the 90s baby thing. Like all it takes is one good sound check, 1 minute of like, hey guys, let's run through the song.
I did go to one more show in London, which was arguably what I was actually the most intrigued by. And it was the ABBA well, it's not really a hologram show, but I'll just say hologram show. So they built out a special arena for it. Like this is a brand new arena. It's called the ABBA Arena.
That's amazing.
And I would say it's like part concert, part immersive film.
Okay.
Because it was like some of the songs, there's like a movie, like you're watching sometimes them, sometimes like an animation.
Mhm.
You're not allowed to take any footage in there. So we have a short of me like running around like outside the arena, but that's basically it. But yeah, it was really cool. So there's a live band. So the music is live.
Mhm.
The vocals, I think they just used like the CD vocals.
Mhm.
But if you haven't looked up info about the show, they motion captured the 4 members of ABBA performing these songs with a couple stunt doubles as well.
Great.
And then they basically captured it all and turned them into younger Sims of themselves, like when they were at their prime,
Yeah.
right? And it's amazing. Like when they came on stage, I think everyone gasped.
You know, like a
It was like, oh, they look real. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know how they do it. I don't know if the illusion is amazing.
Yeah.
Because especially with an arena, like you'd think it'd be like flat, you know? So like if you're on the side, it looks flat, but no. The way they did it, they literally look
Mhm.
3D.
That's
And from especially from far away, like because people who went before told me to stand right in the middle.
Yeah.
They're like, go to the literal center of the arena. He was
Mhm.
like, and so that's what I did. And it was insane. Like there's stuff happening around you.
Oh, cool.
It's not just, it's like a circular
A little planetarium
situation.
kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, it was beautiful. Like
Mhm.
and it's such a joyful show. Like their music is so joyful, and there are people heard like every European language possible around me. So
Right.
all these people traveled in to watch this. Yeah, it was just very happy. Like everyone was very happy.
Mhm.
So it was a really, really great environment. I would totally go again. Like, and I recommend everyone to go.
How long is it running for?
I don't know.
Oh,
I think they'll do it until
Yeah.
there's no demand left, right?
Ooh, cool, which is good.
But they've mentioned they have a couple other songs that they didn't put in the set list yet that
Mhm.
they are gonna switch it out. So
That's
um
cool.
but yeah, it was insane. Like I couldn't believe what I was watching. And I feel like that's a very interesting
To
direction
go to for
because
Mhm.
there are a lot of other artists that could do something like this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. It's interesting.
Nostalgia is such a big thing now. I think more so in the UK than here at the moment. Well, actually, no. We had the When We Were Young festival, so it's starting, I
You
guess,
know
the nostalgia thing.
Yes, but like actual live acts. People are getting a little weird with the holographic or hologram.
I mean,
People are a
so
little
I
weird
know
about that.
I never even heard anything about the Whitney one that happened, but everyone said she looked terrible, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Between that and
Yeah.
like Prince being like, please don't project my image on anything. It's like demonic.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
for some people, especially out here in the US, it's like it's demonic. It's a computer.
Yeah. Well, at least ABBA's still alive.
Yeah.
I think here's the thing.
That
Like with the
thing.
Whitney one, it was like an impersonator that did
Yeah.
it, and it was like without her permission. With
Yeah.
ABBA, the 4 of them are still alive. This is their baby.
They can be like, yeah, sure. Yeah.
They were like,
no,
this is our, like, they're
Yeah.
like, you are watching us. Like,
Yeah.
they motion captured us.
Mhm.
That is us that you're watching.
But everyone else is like dead essentially.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just
So
like
that's different. But
this
but
little co-
as these artists are aging out, like, like Celine Dion has been going through some health things, so she's had to cancel a bunch of shows. Like, this is it's an opportunity.
Mhm.
It's a potential way to kind of keep your legacy going.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was beautifully done. Like I said, if you go to London, you should definitely do it. Yeah, it was brilliant. I would go again for sure.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, we do have some upcoming shows, though. I mean, this is the shows we've gone to so far, but there
Yeah.
are some shows that are upcoming for both of us. Like we said, Rina Sawayama.
Yeah.
Honestly, at this point, if I have nothing to do the next day, I'm going to wait for her, like I usually do. I don't suggest that
I
for
will
anyone.
not.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. But for me, because usually I drive here, so my car is literally just sitting like like across the street somewhere. But yeah, I do not suggest that you do that because you'll be waiting for like 2 hours sometimes. But yeah, I mean, if the show is good enough, I'm feeling like really inspired. Maybe I'll wait. But there are meet and greet passes. I didn't get like a VIP meet and greet this time. It was a little expensive. But yeah, I think Beyonce's going on tour this summer.
No dates have been announced yet.
Nah, I'm thinking spring.
I'm ready. I've put aside $2,000 for that. That's going to be expensive though. It's going to be. I'm not spending $1,000 on Beyonce.
He's kidding. Okay.
But it's going to be expensive. I mean, that's concert tickets are just insane.
Yeah, isn't
Yeah.
okay, I'm not gonna say that right now. But yeah, they are really, really expensive. The fees are bananas. The fees are the ones that kind of just take you out. Anything else you have upcoming?
I don't have tickets to anything. Yeah, I don't know. I've been told, or that we know of actually, a lot of K-pop groups
Oh yeah.
coming next year. A lot of the venues, pretty much the venue schedules are already full from what I've heard. So I'm excited just to see who's going to come around. I've been lucky. I think I've seen most of the artists that I love.
Right.
Still haven't seen a full Shiny show though. So that's really what I'm pulling for and hoping
Yeah,
for. And I will
yeah.
drop Oh, no, $1,000. But I will drop a couple $100 on that.
On second thought, like,
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I love concerts.
yeah.
And I'm very lucky. I think especially with after VidCo, it's now just kind of like really just like, if you want to see them, you should just go because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. This is what I'm glad I was living my best life before.
I mean, I was too.
You know, exactly right.
I was too, but
no
even
offense.
more so.
Yeah,
even more so now, though, it's
Yeah.
like, why not?
Yeah, no offense to anyone who was unable
Yeah.
to. But I'm just saying, it's just one of those things where it's just like, if you about that life, be about it. Go,
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. And, you know, we both, as you know, we just said, we both see a lot of shows.
Yeah.
And so our standards are very high.
Yeah.
So that's always kind of interesting too, just to
Yeah.
observe.
Oh, totally.
And then this wasn't a concert, but we did just go see the musical and Juliet on Broadway. It is on the West End as well. Amazing. It's all pop music, so still in line with what we do. It's all Max Martin, Britney, Backstreet Boys,
Yeah.
NSYNC.
We were going to do like a Max Martin like producer highlight anyway. We were going to do it. We did a K-pop one a while back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do that for sure.
Fun.
Yes. All right. So thank you so much for listening to us. We would love to hear what your favorite concerts that you've been to have been this year. So you can let us know in the comments on YouTube, the Q&A section on Spotify, or you can hit us up on socials at CCTV Pops. You can also join us on Patreon, where you can help us decide our next episode topic. We have some really fun 101s coming up. We've been reaching out for people for interviews, so we'll see who is up for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, get ready. It's gonna be a good 2023.
Yeah.
Please give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell if you're watching on YouTube. And for our listeners, please give us a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice. Until next time, that's Jan.
That's Bree.
And we are CCTV.
Bye.